What is going on, gorgeous human beings? David Lyon here, founder of Evolving Men and Body Creators. So what I want to talk about in today's video is why is it so freaking challenging to follow a path that feels in deep alignment with who you are, where you get to express all of your creativity and your authenticity. You live a life of purpose, of contributing to something larger, of juicy, fulfilling, joyful relationships. Why is that so freaking hard? So I'm going to point to a dynamic in the human psyche and in humans when they come together in groups that I don't see being talked about very often, that is going to give you a deeper understanding of where is that struggle coming from, where's that pull into these different directions coming from, and what is it that you can do about it? How can you reconcile these different energies into actually one direction, really? And so this dynamic that I'm going to talk about is going to revolve around two core human needs that we all share, which is a need to belong and a desire to become. So the need to belong is wanting to feel part of something bigger, wanting to have a place, a community, a group, a relationship where you feel safe, where you feel accepted as you are, where there's this kind of, okay, I'm okay as I am. That's the one side. The other side is the desire to become, to express yourself, to see how much is actually in you, to realize the potential that you know is inside of you, to grow beyond what you already know. Now, up until now, we as a humanity, or I'd say 99.99% of all human beings, have lived in a paradigm where it feels like I can either have one or the other. So if I want to belong, if I want to be part of my family, I have to sacrifice certain aspects of who I am. And when I sacrifice certain aspects of who I am, it's going to be very hard to follow my truth, because I'm going to feel very fragmented. I'm going to feel like I don't have access to certain parts in me, like the maybe the angry part, or the part that is not that interested in other people, or the deeply vulnerable part that wants to feel deeply connected to other people. That depends on many factors, like your upbringing and the kind of groups you were part of. But what I'm seeing and experiencing is that we all have that kind of inside of us, is if I want to belong, I cannot be fully myself. I have to sacrifice some of that which feels really meaningful and alive for me. I cannot have both. Now, the other extreme would be repressing my desire to belong and being like, I don't care what other people think about me. I don't care if I'm accepted or not. I'm just going to do my thing and focus all my energies on that. Now, as someone who has done that for a large portion of his life, I can tell you that only leads you to, well, you can be really successful with this. However, at some point you realize you never arrive. There's always the next thing. There's always the next step. So it's never good enough. And you will at some point realize that a lot of the energy that is going there is driven by the unconscious desire to finally belong. So it's basically the idea of, if I achieve this, if I'm that good, if I'm that outstanding, then I will finally be loved and accepted by whoever. Okay? So most of us are living in an either-or dynamic, and usually it swings from one to the other. So one time I'm like, I don't give a fuck about anyone, I'm just going to do my thing, and the next time I'm going to repress certain parts of me because I'm scared of losing my belonging. Now, I believe we're at a time where we get to learn that we can have both, and in fact, I'm going to completely switch it around and say, actually, you cannot belong if you don't focus on your becoming. You cannot belong by sacrificing certain parts of you. And you cannot become, you cannot actualize your potential without feeling like you're part of something bigger, without feeling deeply rooted and nourished and okay as you are. Right? So what is it that we actually need to do or change in order to be able to live both our belonging and our becoming? So to stop the fragmentation that is going on all around. So first really is to acknowledge you cannot have one without the other. You cannot overcompensate with one in order to get some of that which you didn't get with the other. It's, in a way, it's either you have both or you have none. Okay? So no more, oh, I'm gonna not express some side of me here and repress a little bit there so that I get it does not work. So it's kind of like fully committing to both. And even if we don't see yet exactly how this can work, still following it, still being like, well, this is what I want. I want to focus on my becoming and my belonging. I understand that one does not work without the other. Now, the second step is twofold, basically. One is, and this is why I preach so much about embodiment, is to understand that when we go on our becoming, when we do things that might not be accepted and appreciated by others because it looks different, because it's not what they expect of us, and so on and so forth. So when I notice the reaction of others, which is not fully supportive, loving, go do your thing, something in me is activated, something happens in me. And so then the practice is, can I be with that frightened part in me that basically feels like I'm going to be rejected right now, which for most of human history meant death. Like being rejected by your tribe meant that you were gonna die. And so that's still active in us. So understanding that, it's like, oh, there's a really frightened part in me. And I like to visualize it as like a child, an overwhelmed child version of myself. So one practice is to be with that child, to in a way become your own parent and be like, whoa, you're really scared right now. You're really scared that you're gonna die, that you're gonna be rejected, that you're gonna be abandoned. I feel you, I'm with you there. Okay, and so over time, it's gonna become less scary to do things that others will disapprove, because that is going to happen. You're gonna do things that is going to upset people. You're gonna do things that people are not gonna like. Because if we try to only do things that others appreciate, we sacrifice a lot of who we are. Life also contains friction. And so if we deny that, if we always want to be in harmony, well, goodbye becoming. There's no way to live your truth if you're not willing to be edgy, to be uncomfortable for others. Not intentionally, but it can happen. So that's one aspect, is to start working with that part of you that gets really scared when people react to you. And it doesn't have to be like verbal, overt reactions. It can be just very subtle emotional reactions that you can still pick up on. Now the other piece, which is equally important, because otherwise we start believing, oh, I have to do this all by myself. I just have to hold the part that's scared and that's it. Well, I guess in theory that might work. It does not work in practice in my experience. The other piece is, find yourself people, bring people into your life who fully support you as you are. So find communities that help you actually express more of your truth. And that gives you a sense of belonging, because there are more and more people out there who deeply desire that, who want to be like, how the fuck is it, like, how can I be truly myself in relationships? How can I stop pretending and smoothing things over? How can I be in this deep aliveness, which is quite unpredictable, of like, this is who I am? And to be able to relate on that level to other people, and to do things differently, because that's how it feels true to me. How does that work? There are more and more people out there who are looking for that. How can I feel connected to myself in relationship to other people? So how can I feel myself and feel you? Find these people. Find communities where you're supporting each other in that path. This is where the healing happens, of like, oh, look, there's all these people coming together where I feel like I belong. I can be myself. I can be vulnerable. I can open up. And they fully support me if I do my thing. Maybe if I take a step away from the community, right? They're not going to hold me hostage. Now, this is not about being of some kind of perfectionism of like we're not allowed to have emotional. We all have emotional triggers, and so these dynamics are, in some level, are still going to be at play. But if I have this conscious agreement with people in my life of, hey, I want you to shine. I want you to walk your path. And if that means walking away from me, then do it. I don't see any value in you staying with me if that means making yourself smaller. I'm not interested in that. I might get really frightened if you take a step away, but I still want you to do that, okay? If you have people like this, if you have relationships like this, then the confidence will grow in you of like, yes, I can do my thing and have people around me who support me, and I don't need to sacrifice my desire to belong. Because as we said before, when we repress this desire to belong and focus all on our becoming, at some point we'll realize we just want to be accepted and loved, right? So there's no way to kind of push that away. That's always going to be there. But if you have people and communities around you that support you in that encourage you to be uncomfortable, to share your truth, even if it's contrary to their own opinion, then this will grow in you. And you will be part of a movement of people who feel like, man, becoming and belonging, this is actually one. It's two sides of the same coin, and one does not work without the other. All right? So I hope this video helped you understand why maybe sometimes it's really challenging and scary to do your thing, to do things differently, to express your creativity. If you have any more questions around this topic, please put them in the comments. Give this video a like, share it with people who might resonate with this. And as always, with Evolving Men and Embodied Creators, you're seen, you're loved, you're appreciated. Keep evolving, and I'll talk to you soon. Peace.